ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਪਾਠ ਪੜਿਓ ਅਰ ਬੇਦ ਵਿਚਾਰਿਓ ਨਿਵਲ ਭਵੰਗਮ ਸਾਦੇ ਪੰਚ ਜਨਾਸਿਓ ਸੰਗ ਨਾ ਛੁਟਕਿਓ ਅਦਿਕ ਅਹੰ ਬੁੱਧ ਬਾਦੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਇਨ ਬਿਦ ਮਿਲ ਨਾ ਜਾਈ ਮੈਂ ਕੀਏ ਕਰਮ ਅਨੇਕਾ ਹਾਰ ਪਰਿਓ ਸੁਆਮੀ ਕੇ ਦੁਆਰੈ ਦੀਜੈ ਬੁੱਧ ਬਿਬੇਕਾ ਹਾਰ ਪਰਿਓ ਸੁਆਮੀ ਕੈ ਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੀਜੈ ਬੁੱਧ ਬਿਬੇਕਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀਓ, ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਗਰੀਬ ਨਿਵਾਸ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਸਦਕਾ we've just listened to their Bani. And Sangat ji, usually on a Sunday evening the Sangat often come to Southall Gurdwara Park Avenue to enjoy the Guru's Bani and connect to the Katha that Bhai Baljit Singh ji started many years ago, 5-6 years ago. But Sangat ji, today we're going to be doing the Katha live, and this topic, recognizing the 5 thieves, we started about 2 weeks ago. We actually started exactly 2 weeks ago. So just looking at this Shabad that we just recited by Guru Arjan Dev Ji, we just took 4 panktiya from that Shabad. It's a very long Shabad. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji. So Sangat Ji, we're going to be looking at the Panj Chor, recognizing the 5 thieves. We looked at what home is, what ego is in the first session. But today, looking more closely at the Panj Chor themselves, the 5 thieves. 5 thieves is because what Maharaji referred them as. They referred to them as the thieves. So Paat Padeo. So over here, when we translate this, Paat Padeo, Padeo means to read. And Maharaji saying Paat. So at that time, Maharaji would have also been referring to, because when we now hear the word Paat, we know the word Paat in the sense of us reading Gurbani. But Maharaji also would have been speaking to those that read the Vedas as well. And they may have been referring to other faiths as well, but mainly those that read the Hindu scriptures, those that are doing that part, reading that part, they might be reciting it in a beautiful voice. They might be reciting it so they could get money back for it. But Sangatiji, some people, what they will do is they will only translate it for those Hindu brothers, those Hindu sisters, those that are following the Sanatana Mata, that is actually reading the Veds and saying that Maharaji is only talking about them. And they will take reading Gurbani, reading Path out of the equation, out of this Pankti. But no, Sangatiji, when Maharaji is saying Path Padeo Mere Sadguruji Path, is also referring to reading Gurbani as well. So they're saying Paat Padeo Ar and then the word and. Because here that clarifies that Paat can be of Gurbani as well, can be of the other different scriptures as well. But Maharaji here says and Ved Bicharyo, and those that contemplate on the Vedas as well. There's the 4 Veds. But Sangatji, the other way we can look at this is Ved Bicharyo, meaning that we contemplate. Ved can be translated to knowledge. We contemplate on the knowledge that Satguruji Sache Paatshah Ji gives us when we read part of Gurbani. So Paat Padyo Ar Ved Vicharyo. Then we actually even do Vichar and looking at this Gurbani as well, what it's trying to say to us, what it means to us. Then Sache Paatshah saying Paat Padyo Ar Ved Vicharyo Nival Pongam Sadhe Nival. Nival Sangatji is talking about different practices that one might carry out. So Nival is a practice that is done by yogis where one's content of their stomach is emptied out. So I'm not an expert in this topic, but from what I've read, looking at the courses as well, looking at our dictionaries of Bhai Baljit Singh and Abba and other philosophers and Sikh scholars as well, what I've come to understand is there's two ways that what nivel could be looked at in two ways. One is Sangat Jiyo, that when you empty the content of your stomach out by putting a string through and then emptying it out by vomiting, so that clears out your stomach, you feel more fresh and you're less prone to getting different diseases, and they say it helps you to focus, be more focused as well. The other, so let's just look at that one way. Nival Pungam. Pungam is talking about that curled up snake, that kundalini. Those that actually then tap into their different chakras and rise that kundalini, that energy. But she's talking about that as well, that Nival Pungam Sadhyo. Sadhyo means to when you actually straighten that snake-like, that nadi, that Maharaji Pachaji is talking about, that kundalini. And then Pachaji says, so you've done all of that through different practices, through different breathing techniques, through yog mat. You've even Nival Pongam Sadhe, oh we kende kundalini vi Pachaji kende sadhli to sing. You've done all of these different practices, but then Maharaji say to us, Panch Janasyo sang nahi chotke ho. Say Panch Jana. Jana is the same, but those five that we're talking about, those Panj Chor, just like Pachaji tell us, let's just go through once more what those Panj Chor are. Maharaj says, Es dehi andar Panch Chor vasa hai. Within this body, there's Panj Chor, there's 5 thieves. And remember, the job of a thief is to rob us. A job of a thief is to plunder us, is to take something away from us. So Pach saying, Es dehi andar Panch Chor vasa hai. Who are those? 5 chor kende Kaam. The first one is Kaam, translated to desires. Kaam, Krodh. Krodh is anger. Kaam, Krodh. Lobh is greed. Moh, attachment. Ahankara. Ahankara here is arrogance, pride. So these are the 5. And Pachaji saying kende Panch Janasyon sang nahi chutkeo. Sang means something that accompanies you, something that we accompany, something that we actually, someone that we associate with. Mere Pachaji kehn lage, kende paath bhi padh liya. Kende you've read Gurbani, you've done all these different practices, you've done all these breathing techniques, you've done so much. Kende fir bhi ye sab kuch karke Pachaji kehn lage, kende Panch Janasyo sang nahi chutkeo. Kende you've still not stopped keeping company with those 5. Kende fir bhi nahi chhadya Kaam, fir bhi nahi chhadya Krodh. Just for us to have a little understanding of this, okay? Before we go into detail, Sangaji, of what these Panj Chor are, just so that there's not this confusion in our mind, so we can actually relate to it. Let's look at a few examples. We're reading part. This could be for any of us. We've sat down in the morning to do our Japji Sahib. And we've sat there, we've recited it in these beautiful tunes and nice as we can. We're going through ek do jeep ball lak ho hai lak ho hai lak vi, so making it sound really in nice tunes. But then our little child, or it could be a baby or a toddler or whatever age our child is, or if it's not children that you've got at home running around, it could be your partner, it could be your parents, it could be anyone, it could be one of your siblings. They walk into the room and they challenge you and they say something to you. They might turn around and say to you, you woke me up this morning. When you woke up to have your shower, why was you slamming the doors? Why was you so hard why was you so heavy footed at home in the morning when you was going up the stairs? You woke everybody up. Can't you be a bit more careful? That's just one little scenario I'm sharing with you. It could be anything. So they could be complaining about you left the light on or whatever it is. Sangaji, you know what situations you get into with your family members. And it takes that little spark. We could have just been reading part, we've done our part, we get up, but it takes that instant. If we're not conscious, remember this now, we're going to come back to that. If we're not conscious, we let that Krodh, that Chor take over us in that moment, that little, we was chilled out, we felt a sense of peace for that moment, and Amrit Lute. It's just taken away that sweetness, that feeling calm, that feeling that I've done something good today, I've just read some Bani, And then that moment, they've said one little thing to us, and what's happened? We'll say, huh? Who are you to say this to me? And Sangat, the moment, remember we say there's the ego, the self-identity, what I identify myself as, and then who I think I am, but I'm not really that. Remember, we are Atma. Pachaji saying that Mantu Jot Swarup hai, Apana Mool Pachan. They said, oh, Pachaji saying, oh my mind, that you are actually the form of that light, that Jot Swarup, the form of that light. But we start to think, I am this body, I am Baljit Singh, I am Pracharak. That not to say, Sangatji, just to clarify so we don't confuse this, it doesn't mean we can't say that, you know, Maharaji has blessed me with the seva as doing prachar. Okay, so that's one of my identities, just to understand this deeper, because I felt that maybe a couple of weeks ago I wasn't clear enough on this. For example, if I was to go and take part in a play and I've been given a particular role in that play, so for example, I've got the role and I've got to play the role of, I don't know, maybe Shakespeare or someone, anyone random that's just come to my mind. So, and then what happens is I dress up like that character. I get to learn how to talk like one. So imagine I've gone for that play, I've taken that role on, I've wore those clothes, I've spoke like that character, and I've done my job really well, but then I forget to come out of character and I remain that, and I start thinking, I am Shakespeare. So Sangatji, that's what ego is when it takes over us. When we actually start to think I am that. So for example, that Pachaji might have given me this seva, so I take on this identity, okay, but you still know that I am the Jot Swarup of Vaheguruji, of Paramatma. And then this is like a role that I've been given to actually do. But what happens is, when I start thinking I am that and I start to protect that, and then what happens is I have pride about that and I have arrogance about that. So coming back, Sangatji, so what happens is somebody shouts at us, we've just done our part, but then Panch Janasyo Sang Nahi Chutke. Maharaj says, but you've not broke away from those five. In that moment that was sparked, that anger was sparked, and they all, then you'll be, Sangatji, if we start becoming conscious, we'll see how they all play this part and they all come rushing in together. There'll be at least 2 or 3 of the Chor robbing us in one go. So we thought we only got angry, but the first thing was, don't you know I'm your dad? Yeah, so it's that identity. So there's the home, Sangatji. And then we're looking down at someone. How dare you say something to me? You're my child. So I'm here and you're there. Then I've looked down at them. That's my pride. That's kicked in. That's looted me as well now. Panch Janasyo Sang Nahi Chutke. Adik Aham Buddh. That Aham, this Ahang, which is the home, but I am this. And then the Buddha, the intellect's trying to protect it, is going out of control, going crazy. What are you doing? No, you can't say this to me. And yeah, and so what if I left the light on? I got up early anyway, and that's what we should be doing, not like you snoring away. And all we know, and it's completely taken over us. Face is gone red, and we're completely lost control. But we've just done part. So Sangatji, Pachaji, and this just makes us realize how hard is this game. This game, Path Padyo, Ar Ved Pichadyo, Nival Pangam Sadhe, and then Pashis Panch Janasyo Sang Nahi Chutkyo, Adika Aham Buddha Bade. And then look how this all fits in and how they all play this part and getting hold of us. So Sangatji, that home is like that mask that we never want to take away. But Pachaji is saying that मैं हो परम पुरख को दासा देखन आयो jagat tamasha. Pachaji is saying, I am the servant of God and I've come to watch this play. But we end up thinking we are the character of that play, and we start holding onto it and doing anything we can to protect it. And then all the chores start coming into play and taking over. So then the question comes, Sangat ji, is then what do we do? What is Part all about then? I've even tried to understand Part. Sangat ji, understanding Bed Bichareo, contemplating Gurbani was not to gain knowledge. Contemplating Gurbani was to meditate on that, so I actually become that. Where Pachaji tell me that Kaam, Krodh, Kaya, Ko, Galle. Pachaji is saying that this Kaam, Krodh actually starts to break you down. It decays your body. It completely melts you down, these desires, and anger does. So Sangat ji, that was just a quick example that I wanted to give so that we can relate to this topic, all of us can. Even those that read Gurbani, let's not fool ourselves just because we read Gurbani thinking that we don't get looted and robbed by these. But let's first think, let's put our hands up and say, yes, this does happen to me as well. I'm not saying there's those virle out there, jag mein uttama kaddiye hai virle kei ke Marj Singh. Obviously in the world there are those very fair rare people that, like Pacha's Nanak Kot Made Ko Aisa, a pars that aren't touched by these things. So I can't talk for everyone. I'm talking, for the majority of us, let's put our hands up and say, Satguru ji, Pacha ji, that yes, I do get robbed. Even me that reads Gurbani. Even me that I might read so much Gurbani, but I still get robbed. I might even understand Gurbani, but it became about knowledge and not making the effort of becoming conscious of what is happening to me. So Sangat ji, let's look at Kaam. That's the first jor. What is it? Kaam is translated to desire. And Sangat ji, and the way we're going to look at these today, because I had many questions after the first katha I did. I had somebody messaging me on Instagram. I had somebody actually approaching me at the reunion of the camp reunion and saying to me, Virji, come on, we must need them in some way as well, don't we? You know, the Panj Chor, he said, but they serve a purpose, don't they? He says, but what about when I go to work? Don't I need some level of pride to achieve and do well at work? I said, look, Pyarya, you're only asking me this question because you still haven't understood what they are. Let's think about this. We had these in comments, some of the comments as well, but surely we need them to survive. The Panj Chor. Sangat ji, let's think about this. Jere cheez no mere sache paach ne chor hi keh ditta ta chor di sanu ki lod pegi. If Marj is called something a chor, then what good can a chor be to us? If something that is robbing us, how can something that Amrit loote, it's taking from us. Amrit loote, man mukh nahi bujhe, it's a man mukh that doesn't understand this. How can we need them? How can that be positive? Sangat ji, because we haven't understood what they are. That's why we're saying, don't we still need them? And I said to you, what is pride then? People are mixing these things up. They're translating pride for having self-confidence. People are thinking that nimrta, having humility, is low self-esteem. No, Sangat ji, we need to get these terminology. We need to be able to characterize them, describe them what they are. Fir gal banungi, then we'll be able to put a fight up to them. So Sangat ji, first thing, let's do this. No, pride is not needed when we understand what pride is. So, but we'll come to that later. Let's focus now and let's look at Kaam. First of all, Sangat ji, before any of these become chor, they all come from a neutral energy. Okay? So you imagine just a ball of energy, and we need these energies. Let's say there's 5 different energies. Okay? There could just be one. Let's just say there are 5 different energies. And when they go out of control, and they get a hold of me, and then they bound me and they tie me up and they start controlling me. And now I'm not conscious anymore. I'm not making conscious decisions anymore. It's actually now anger, or it's Kaam, it's desire that's making the decision for me. Now it's due to anger that I'm now creating this action. It's because of desire that I'm now doing this. This action is coming from desire. That's when then it's called a chor, when it plunders us. We don't need them. They are only negative. What we do need is the energy that they come from. So if we just look at the word desire, but now looking at it as a neutral energy, not when it becomes the chor. Okay? So when it becomes the chor, it would probably be better to look at it as trishna, as what we call as burning desire. Okay? So just so that we can relate to it, I'll give you a pankti so you can relate to the difference between the energy of desire that we need to live, which we're going to explain in a minute, but then when it becomes a chor. Maharji say that dubda lage pach moe antar trishna ag hai. So paching dubda lage pach moe antar trishna ag. Then they refer to it as trishna and ag. They might call it Kaam as well. But when Kaam becomes an ag, this burning desire, that's when it's a chor. Okay, so let's look at it. Why do we need the energy? Because some people say, why would Maharji put these chor inside us? Maharji didn't put the chor inside of us. Maharji put the energies inside of us, and then we were in control, so it became the chor. So let's look at Kaam. Kaam is the energy of desire. Actually, you know what Kaam is, Sangaji? Kaam is our life driving force. Without that, we would have no life. Without that, we'd have no energy to do anything. So it's actually what drives us. It's actually the life, it's the force of life. So to understand that, so imagine if we didn't have that. So some people say, why would Maharji give us that? It's because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't even be able to, Sangaji, I wouldn't be able to sit here and do katha. We wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning. The moment we open our eyes, if we had no energy of desire, that Kaam, because just to understand that now, because most of the time we've only heard this word in a negative way, in Kaam, Krodh, Lobh, Mohankara. So let me give you an example where Maharji talks about this, and it's not in a negative way. Maharji say to us, Sangaji, char padarth je ko mange sad jana ki seva lage. Char padarth. And Sangaji, in the char padarth, there is this four thing that, obviously there's four, char is four, so padarth are things. These are four essentials of what we need to live in life. Okay? And what these four things are, Panj is saying that Mukat Pogat Jugat Teri Seva. They're saying these are some of these things, which, let me give you the first one, which is Kaam, Arth, Dharam, and then Moksha. And these four are actually listed in Guru Granth Sahib Ji as well. But Sangaji, I put my hands together. I can't actually remember the Pankti now from the top of my head, where Maharji actually have listed all four together. But the Char Padarth are these. I'm not randomly getting it from somewhere. They're in Guru Granth Sahib Ji and they're in the Veds as well, okay? So Maharaj is saying that you can get the four padarths by serving a sadhu, by serving a saint. So it can't be negative, can it? So the first one is Kaam. Kaam is you need that drive. Once you've got the drive, which is Kaam, then you can have Arth. Arth means the essentials that we need to live, like food, shelter, clothes, these type of things. These are essential living things that we need. Only if we didn't have desire, we couldn't get them. We would have no desire to even pick up food and put it in our mouth. We would have no desire to go out and work. We'd have no energy. We'd have no even thought to get out of bed, to brush our teeth, to go to the toilet. Nothing, Sangaji. We wouldn't be able to do anything in life. You wouldn't be able to even put on the internet now and press any buttons on your phone to put on Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube, and you would not be able to click that to watch this now. It's all from that energy that we're doing everything in life. So Sangat Ji, my Veer has helped me out and he's given me the pankti which is Dharm, Arth, Kaam, Mokh, Jin, Raj, Tam, Sat, Gun, Turiya Rani. So Pach, there we go, Sangat Ji. So you've been able to see the pankti yourself. Pach saying Jin, those that have won over these four, that Dharm, Arth, Kaam, Mokh, it's exactly the ones that we've just listed. So Sangat Ji, so from Kaam you have your desire, which is the energy, life force. And then a Kaam, Arth, then that gives you the energy to go and get your essentials, your living needs. And then you've got your Dharma. Dharma means then to have Dharma, you need a guru. The guru, Nanak Satguru Petiye, Puri Hove Jogat. Pachaji will give us the Jugati. The Dharma here is the Jugati. The guru gives us the way of how to live amongst these things. The arth, the essentials, the food and everything, how much to use it, what to use, what to eat, what not to eat, what type of clothes to wear, and Sangaji, what not to wear. Then we have the Dharam, which is living in a boundary which the Guru gives us. And then we've got Moksha, how to then remain detached from these things as well. So now you understand why we need desire. That's when people say, okay, so why do we need these? There we go. Answered. We need it. It's the driving force. So why does it go out of control? So why does then the desire take over us why does it then become this trishna? What we spoke about. That dubda lage pach moe antar trishna agha. Why does it become a burning when we go out of control more than what we need to live in life? And when we start, and what happens to us is we go so out of control that we start thinking, oh, I want this as well. But you know, sometimes what we do, we're so, you know, what's the word? What shall I use? What we do to ourselves is, so just to get that pankti, andar tishna ag hai man mein bhukh na jaye, and then is the other pankti not coming up, Veerji?
Which one?
That dubda lage pach moe antar tishna ag hai. So Sangaji, what tends to happen is that sometimes we try and even our mind plays so many tricks on us, it actually tries to fool us. And what our mind does is, Sangatji, it's very clever. Even the things that we don't need, it'll try and tell us, oh, no, you need that. Not that it'll try and play tricks on us, not to say, I want that. Because once we know it's not a need, it's not essential for me to survive, and once it becomes a want, our mind will say, no, but you need that. But it's actually become a desire now. So what happens is this gets out of control. Why is it getting out of control? Because this, you know, this force, it's more than just for survival and living. This force is that very force that is driving us and is driving us towards the true purpose of our human life. What is this life for? This human life is the only life form where we can meet Vaheguruji. Even the Devtas, I said this in one of my morning kathas, even the Devtas, those that are said to be the higher beings, even they are yearning for this body. Just like Pachi say that, is dehi ko simre dev, so dehi paj har ki sev. Pach saying is even the deities, even the dev, they want this body, Sangatji. In this body is the only opportunity, those famous panktiyan, Gobind milan ki eh teri bariya, avar kaaj tere kite na kamil sad sangat bhaj keval naam. Sangatji, human form is the only form we can meet Vaheguruji. So that desire, the energy, desire is actually, is there yearning, is pushing us, is that force is driving us and telling us, to want to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And what do we mean becoming bigger? When we think bigger, we think in status. We thinking we want to be at the highest position at work, not just because I need to be in that position to be parupakari, to help others. No, because I just need to be at the top. Not for that reason, Sangatji. The reason, when I say we want to be bigger and bigger, we actually want to be everything. What do I mean we want to be everything? We think that we want to get to that place. Let me give some examples now. Desire, when it gets the danger of desire, when it becomes a chore. Somebody's saying that I really need to get those results in my exams so I can get into that university because I want to become that. That's fine. So that could be something just realistic. They've thought about consciously that they want to get into that field to do that. But behind there, sometimes when it becomes burning is behind that thought is an expectation. The expectation is when I reach that goal, once I get those results, I'm going to be satisfied. Not true. We all experienced it. Got them? Are we satisfied? There's still something there's something missing. And that's not, remember, that's fine in actually having that drive, that force to do something, because you're consciously thinking about that you want to be in a certain field. You want to be a doctor because you want to help the world. And today, Sangatji, who are those that are becoming our heroes today? And Sangatji, and you know what? The word even Shahidi came into my mind. But I haven't got the authority to use that word for these doctors today that are dying whilst they are serving these patients and healing them. Because I am very small, and I've got no place within this Panth that is blessed by Guru Sahib to call them shaheeds. But I'm just saying that word came to my mind. But just saying to me, my mind, that they're in such a high place. This Dr. Sangatji, one article that I read, he was a doctor that is in his 30s, a young doctor who actually got the coronavirus, and he said he's working towards to get through it. And he said, all I want to do is, he goes, my aim is to get back to work by Thursday so I can continue helping those patients that are coming in. And some doctors know the risk that they are taking. They are open to actually picking up different strains of the virus, which then if they're exposed to more than one strain of the virus, even if they're fit and healthy, there's a good chance, even if they're young, fit and healthy, that they could die from the disease, from the virus. But they're willing to do that because they chose their jobs consciously out of par upkar. Vidya pakari, vidya vichari ta par upakari. They're saying you only if you're a parupakari, then you've actually, then you can say you're educated. So there's these things we're doing for righteous reasons, but sometimes there's this desire just behind. There's this in the back of our mind. We think if we get to that point, there's this desire. I want that, and if we get that, and there's still no. But if I get to that job, got the job, the expectation was then I'll be content, but still no contentment. But then I think, no, but if I get to that position, but still no contentment. Sangatji, I'm going to use an example that might sound a bit odd, and we don't often talk about these things on stage in Katha, but it's reality. Somebody is having an intimate relationship with their partner. And Sangatji, that intimacy can come from a pure place of love. And just like Guru Gobind Singh Ji Sache Paatshah Ji said as well. They said that निज नारी के संग निज नारी के संग नेह तुम नित बड़ैयो हो. Sangatji, so Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah Ji, this Pangti comes up in two ways. Some have used the word sang, some and it's sometimes used differently in some of the actual pothis as well. Guru Gobind Singh Ji passing Nij Nari ke saath neho tum nit badaiyo ho. I've seen it as saath unsung. So let's go with saath. Nij Nari ke saath neho tum nit badaiyo ho. They said with your own partner that you can share that relationship, that intimate relationship, Sangat Ji. And let's be careful here, because the truth is, a desire, you often see desire translated to sexual desire. But desire is when something takes over you, any desire that takes over you, and that could be sexual, that could be for a car, that could be for a house, but it could be sexual as well. And somebody remember where somebody's one's sharing intimacy with their partner out of pure love, and where there's no expectation, it's just out of that pure love. But remember, even with your own partner, it can turn into a trishna, it can turn into this burning desire where that's all you think about and that's all you want. And then it becomes a sexual desire that then even with your own partner, it can become where it's not just sharing this pure love, where Guru Gobind Singh Ji is talking about ਨਿਜ ਨਾਰੀ ਕੇ ਸਾਥ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਮ ਨਿਤ ਵੱਡਈਓ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੱਧ ਕੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰੋ, but it can become lustful, where it can be just where you're doing it only out of pleasure and all you want is more pleasure out of that act. And that will then actually take us away from naam ras, jeh ras, bisar gaye ras, or where we won't be able to get to the jeh ras, to that ras of naam. And then even that relationship with our own wife or own husband, it can become lustful where it's only out of pleasure. So Sangat Ji, and what example I was giving you, that energy of desire, that driving force, we're wanting to become bigger and bigger, get more and more money, get more and more status. And even the example I was going to use is, how bigger can you get? Somebody becomes a billionaire, they get at the top of some billionaires, they say they've even got authority and they've even got a say in what the government does. They even get to that position. How bigger do you want to get? Somebody is having this intimate relationship with their partners, and those that have had that intimate relationship and can relate to this, there's a moment in that exchange, that physical relationship, when it's taking place, there's a moment when you actually want to merge with that partner and you want to become one, because you feel even that's not enough and you just want to become a part of them. Sangat Ji, but what we don't understand is, remember I said Gobind Milan ki yeh teri bariya? There's only one aim of this human form is to become one with Paramatma. Panj Ji tell us, kende sahajano sab nu lochdi, kende everyone Sahajano sabko lochdi. They're saying everyone is yearning. Everyone is yearning. Sangat Ji, Panj Ji saying Sahajano sab lochdi. Ben gur paya na jaye Sahajano sab lochdi. They're saying everyone is yearning for that Sahaj, yearning for Sahaj, meaning Sahaj he means Waheguru, is yearning for that true constant bliss inside, to be completely centered and focused and balanced. But Sangat Ji, it's that driving force that I was talking about, that force of life that is aiding us towards becoming one. It's pushing us. That, just like Panj Sahajano Sab Lochdi, everyone is yearning for that. All it is, some are conscious of that and some are unconscious of that. That person that is having an intimate relationship with their partner, somebody that is having an intimate relationship with their partner, even they, Sangat Ji, it's not that they want to become one with their partner. It's that inside yearning desire that wants to become one with Paramatma. It's that one that is trying to get bigger and bigger, the one that is trying to get at the top and make a million, make a billion, and get to the very top as they can. It's not that they want to get at the top of the ladder of the richest person in the world, or the high stated person, the most feared person, the most biggest gangster. It's not that. It's actually that force of desire, is that wanting to become one with the whole cosmos and universe, of becoming one with Waheguru Ji Sahajano Sab Lochdi, every human being. It's their nature, it's their human nature to want to be one with Waheguru Ji. Like I said, those that are trying it in different ways are unconscious, and then those that become conscious of that Sangat Ji, it's that force of desire that is going to become what then? It's going to become Har tijdi lav man chao paya Bairagiya Balaram Jiyo. It's that same force, that Sangat Ji, that is going to become Bairag. It's that same force that is going to become Bairag when we go then crazy, when we go so mad, and we'll be going around, we'll be saying, we'll be begging, we'll say, Mere har pritam ki koi baat sunave, so bhai, so mera beer. We'll saying, is there anyone that will tell me about my beloved? We'll be saying that I'm searching for that beloved. Ho fero ko jantiya, I'm yearning, I'm searching to meet that beloved. And we're saying that I'll do anything, sir tari utare. We're saying that I'll cut off my head. Ek puri darshan dije, just so that somebody can give me darshan for that little one moment. When I realize that, when I have those little moments, Sangat Ji, when we have those little moments in meditation, we're japping Naam and we lose ourselves, and everything from the top of our head, it starts to vibrate, and we lose consciousness of that we are body. We lose consciousness of that there is even a mind, that there is any thoughts. We have this little moment of chalki, of where everything stops, and then we want that, and we know, and then sahajano sab lochdi, and then we're saying that har darshan ko mera man bahut tapte jo trikha vant bin neer, that I'm like that now person that is dying without water. Now all I want is Hari's darshan, and now I'm doing anything. So when somebody becomes conscious, they become bairagi, they becomes detached from all. They're still living, but now they don't do anything extra. They won't spend anything extra. They won't want anything extra. They won't need extra clothes that aren't needed. They won't do anything for mere pleasure, because now they've got this pull. Sangat Ji, see, where now it's starting to all make sense. That energy of desire is the driving force to live on a physical level, and it is that driving force that is yearning to become one with everything. Sadhguru Ji, Sache Paatshah Ji, and then say this goes out of control, that we then falling into this pit of this just wanting more and more, and that starts to burn us, Sangat Ji. And people say that desires, then they cause us suffering. No, what causes us the suffering is when they don't live up to our expectation, or our desires are unfulfilled. So let's look at that now. We obtained what we were desiring. It wasn't what I expected. Not the product, but the feeling. What I thought I was, how I thought I was going to feel. I just don't feel like that. What I expected. So then that we've obtained the desire, but the feeling wasn't what I expected. So now I start to suffer. So now I'm in pain. And then the other thing is, we think it's going to give me that satisfaction, and I've not obtained it yet. Unfulfilled desire. So that is causing the pain as well, Sangat Ji. And when I don't receive that, or if I received it and it's not been what I thought, and then what happens is I start becoming frustrated. And you know, many of us have heard that's when somebody becomes sexually frustrated as well. That when somebody is desiring that pleasure constantly, and they're not getting to fulfill that pleasure, and they then become frustrated. Sangat Ji, everything has its own level. Everything takes up its own level of energy. So let's look at this now frustration, when somebody's frustrated from inside, it takes up quite a lot of energy. It's not something we can maintain for a long period of time. And what happens then is, from that, Bachi says, these two come together. Kaam, Krodh kaya ko galle. Kaya, it starts to decay the physical body, it starts to disease the body. The Kaam wasn't fulfilled, my desire wasn't fulfilled, and I wasn't satisfied, so it didn't fulfill me when I obtained it. And then what happens is I get frustrated, think, oh, ki ho gaya? What's happened? What am I going to do now? And I just think, but if I don't get it, then, I'm never going to feel like this. But I need to get that. And then, but frustration cannot last very long. It bubbles and bubbles and bubbles, and then it explodes. The explosion, Sangaji, is anger. Anger takes up a huge amount of energy. So anger cannot stay, like anger at its peak cannot stay for a long period of time, because it takes up so much energy. We'll be worn out. But Sangaji, once that anger hits, and if we look at the psychology behind anger, if you look at like an anger management course, when people say "Kei kende na to tum gussa apna pila," there's a saying in Punjabi, "Tu eno na bas kotla, tu eno gusse no apne no pila." So some people say drink your anger, meaning just suppress your anger. Sangaji, suppressing your anger is very dangerous. It can have very negative effects on this body, because it means we're still angry. All it is, we've not exposed it physically or verbally. But we're still angry. It's still gonna have a really negative effect, and it will still come out in so many different things. Jo ji hoye so ugve muh ka kya vau. Bachi is saying whatever actually is inside of you will come out. You can't hide it. So let me give you an example now. Somebody that is frustrated, and it's become this explosion, and it's become this anger inside. Okay? And somebody could be anger over so many different things, okay? And those, Sangaji, that anger could be because of the way somebody's speaking to them, the way somebody's treating them, and they've not expressed it. They've not let the explosion come out. The explosion just happening inside. They've not let the explosion come out physically. But that person might not be conscious of it. If you then observe that person, you'll actually start to see that their whole being is being taken over by anger. Somebody might be driving the car, and you'll see even the way they drive the car will be in anger. But it's come from something that's unfulfilled. It's come from something where an expectation hasn't been met. They expect their wife or child to speak to them in a certain way. Because their wife and child is not speaking to them in that way, remember, it's hurt their home, it's hurt their ego. Then it might have sparked their anger, and their anger is now, they've not expressed it to their wife or partner or to their child or to their parents, but now you'll see it coming out in so many different ways. How many of you, Sangaji, sitting at home now can relate with this? When you've got an expectation the way somebody should speak to you, but they don't speak to you like that, and you feel that they're belittling you, okay? I'm not making it okay, by the way, for what they're doing, but this isn't about them at the moment. This is about looking out at us and becoming conscious of what's happening to us. So let's forget for that moment what, if it's right or wrong, what they should be doing. Okay, so for now we're just taking it as they are doing that to us. Okay, our partner or someone is speaking to us abruptly. We let it boil up. We let it boil up. The Krodh is there now. Okay, and then Sangadji, but if you see it, it starts to come out of every pore of that person. They could be driving a car, and they're driving the car, and it's in anger because they've not been proactive about it. They've suppressed it. Okay, so then they might be. The other thing is, it's not about suppressing, but it's not about letting your anger out in action as well. But it's being proactive about that anger. That's what we're going to look at. So somebody, if they're driving their car, they're turning the gears, everything they're doing is in that frustration and anger, but they don't really see it themselves. They might be subtle, but it's there. Somebody reads part, it's in frustration and anger. Even the part, oh, I've got to just get this done. Oh, come on. Soch na hove. And it's just like, just get it out the way. And there's no shanti, there's no calmness, because there's something that they haven't dealt with, because their expectations haven't been met, unfulfilled desires. It's see how this all linked, Sangat Ji, how it all works. And then what happens is, at some point it will explode. If we're not proactive, it will just explode and go crazy. But Sangat Ji, to look at this, let's look at little Sakhi to try and understand even further how these all kind of fit in. And from looking at the time, it's not most likely it's going to be where we're looking at the solutions of becoming conscious is going to end up being next week now, Sangat Ji. So today we're just going to draw the picture and understand it. Understanding it is a part of the solution, because we're becoming now what we're doing is with each other, we're characterizing them. We're starting to understand how they're working. We're thinking, oh, is that how you get me? I understand what's happening to me. So this is a part of the solution. Sangat Ji, let's look at a Sakhi, but today the Sakhi, I'm not telling the Sakhi in the way I normally tell a Sakhi. So nobody has to prep for any tissues or anything like that. I'm not telling the Sakhi in that way, Sangat Ji. The Sakhi is about being conscious, looking at how the Chor are going to work through this Gursik. Gursik at a young age with his parents comes to the Charan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And most Sangat have heard this Sakhi. I've told it many Gursiks. Everyone tells this Sakhi. But today it's looking at the Sakhi. So don't switch off thinking, oh, well, this Sakhi. But we're looking at how the Chor are going to work through him. He comes to Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Charan as a little child. And as he's growing up and playing in Guru Sahib Ji's Charan, Guru Sahib Ji Sache Pacha Ji saying that, कहने लगे कहंदे ओ बेटा कहंदे तेरा नाम की है बेटा नाम दस अपना. Oh, and that innocently that child came running to Guru Gobind Singh. कहंदे Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha कहंदे मेरा नाम Joga. Pacha कहंदे अच्छा कहंदे केदे Joga. Joga means Sangat Ji, who are you with? कहंदे Pacha Ji, and innocently he wasn't even thinking कहंदे Pacha मैं आप जी दे Joga. कहंदे I am with you, meaning I am yours. What's what Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha is saying, that I don't belong to anyone else. I belong you, मैं आप जी दे Joga. Guru Gobind Singh कहंदे वाह कहंदे अच्छा कहंदे जे तू मेरे जोगा तां कहंदे कलगीधर कहंदे Pacha कहंदे मैं तेरे जोगा. कहंदे then I am yours. कहंदे then I am with you. कहंदे I give myself to you. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha Ji कहने लगे. Pero as he grows up, his parents leave, they go back, but he stays in the charan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Sache Paatshah Ji. As he stays in the charan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah Ji, he gets to an age of marriage. His parents come back from Peshawar, where they lived, which is today in Pakistan. कहने लगे कहंदे महाराज कहंदे इहदे आनंद कारज दी कहंदे इहदे विआह दी कहंदे उम्र हो गई. Paatshah Ji, give us agya to take him back. कहंदे it's time for his आनंद कारज now. कहंदे let us take him to get him married. Give us agya. We're doing a beinti, Paatshah Ji, a request in your charan, so we can take him for his marriage. Paatshah Ji gives him permission to go, but as Bhai Joga Ji is leaving, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah Ji कहंदे जोगिया कहंदे तू एक गल सुन. कहंदे ਜਦੋਂ ਖਾਲਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੇਰੀ ਲੋੜ ਪਈ ਤੂੰ ਜਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਖਾਲਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਪਈ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਜੋਗਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਆਵੇਂਗਾ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ when the Khalsa needs you Joga, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ if the call comes to you, will you come? Paatshah Ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ Guru Paatshah Ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you give me the strength. Paatshah Ji, on your call I'll be there straight away. No, the moment you call me, Paatshah Ji, I'll come and I'll leave to come to your charan. Guru Gobind Singh Ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ याद रखी. Can I'll give you permission then, that you can only go of when I give you the message to come back. You've got to come back in that moment. Bhai Joga Ji gaye ne. They go, they get to Peshawar. All the preparations are done for the marriage, Sangat Ji. And it's not about going into the details about exactly how this happened, because what we're going to look at is how this Chor played a part in his mind. The way they work, we can understand it actually through somebody now. Bhai Joga ji, some say that he was halfway through his Anand Karaj, he was on his second lav. And some say Sangat ji had got married and it was only his first day of marriage yet. And a Gursikh came from Mere Kalgitar, from Guru Gobind Singh ji, Sache Paatshah. They came to Bhai Joga ji. ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਾਈ ਜੋਗਾ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ sent you a letter, sent you a message. ਭਾਈ ਜੋਗਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖੋ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੇ ਜੋਗੇ, ਹੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਭਾਈ ਜੋਗਾ ਸਿੰਘ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕੋਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਨੰਦਪੁਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆ ਜਾਓ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ leave whatever you are doing, you leave it now, you come to ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ. ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, in that moment Bhai Joga ji gets ready to leave. Oh khada ho gaya jaan waste. All the rishtedar, all the relatives are still there, everyone's still celebrating. ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੋਗਿਆ, ਉਹਦੇ ਮਾਂ ਪਿਓ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੋਗਿਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁਣੀ ਜਾਣਾ, you gotta go right now. Think about your wife to be, think about this, what about her? ਤੂੰ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਤਾਂ ਸੋਚ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ think about her even a little bit. Bhai Joga ji ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I said to Guru Gobind Singh ji Paatshah ji that when you call me I will come straight away. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਬਚਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੋੜਨਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ. I'm not going to turn back on my Guru's ਬਚਨ, on my word that I've given to my Guru. Bhai Joga ji ਉਸੇ ਵੇਲੇ ਘੋੜੇ ਤੇ ਚੜ੍ਹ ਕਰਕੇ they get on their horse. Bhai Joga ji start to ride through. Bhai Joga ji goes from Peshawar, they go to Lahore, through Lahore they ride through Amritsar. Gursikh ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, as they go through Amritsar they reach that place of Hoshiarpur. As they're getting closer and closer to Anandpur Sahib, ਪਰ ਹੁਸ਼ਿਆਰਪੁਰ ਪਹੁੰਚਦੇ ਹਨੇਰਾ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਿਆ. The sun starts to set, and in those days, Sangat ji, they didn't have street lights. They did not travel at night. Whenever the sun would set, they would actually stop traveling and they would settle somewhere for the night. Bhai Joga ji ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਸੂਰਜ ਛਿਪਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਿਆ, ਪਰ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ ਭਾਈ ਜੋਗਾ ਦੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਘੋੜਾ ਦੜਾਉਂਦੇ ਘੋੜਾ ਦਗੜ ਕਰਦਾ ਗਿਆ. As the ਘੋੜਾ is galloping and is going, ਭਾਈ ਜੋਗਾ ਜੀ thought, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੋਗਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੰਨਿਆ ਅੱਜ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ me, this Joga, this sect, this identity, Sangat ji, he fell into home where he thought it's him. ਮੈਂ ਕੀਤਾ, I have listened to the Guru's bachan and not thinking मेरा मुझ में किछ नहीं, जो कुछ है सो तेरा तुझको सौंपते के लागे मेरा. Not thinking that Paatshah ji, it's you that inspire us to do whatever we do. Paatshah ji, aap japaye jape so no, aap gavaye so har gun gao. If you inspire me to sing, then I sing. If it's in your will, if you give me that strength to accept your bachan, then I do. But then he thought, main kita, joge ne kita. That's his home. Remember the ego, identity, recognized as I. Main kita, pyareo, from main to ki banaya. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਰਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ. There is no other sect like me to listen to a bachan like this, to leave his wife at once and come away. ਉਹ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੰਕਾਰ, the arrogance. Look at the chor, look at the way they're playing him. From home, if there was no home, nothing can touch you. Home came, then arrogance came. I am the best. I am at the top. I look down at no one is good as me, as is listening to the Guru's command, following the Guru's command. Pyareo, from this hoon to hankar to pyareo ki hoya. Kende ne ta ek wari banda ਢਿੱਲਾ ਪੈ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you know what ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, this is like a wrestling match. ਮੇਰੇ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਭ ਹੋਈ ਛਿੰਝ ਇਕੱਠੀਆਂ ਦਿਓ ਬੈਠਾ ਵੇਖੇ ਆਪ ਜੀਓ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ that ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ sitting there themselves watching this. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ they watching this. We were supposed to be that ਪਹਿਲਵਾਨੜਾ, ਹਉ ਗੋਸਾਈਂ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਵਾਨੜਾ. Paatshah ji saying that we were supposed to be that warrior, that ਪਹਿਲਵਾਨੜਾ. But what happened? This is a wrestling ring, Waheguru ji. Sangat ji, this is a wrestling ring. where our guru is our trainer sitting in the corner watching us. But what happens is, it says, you know, once we start getting hit, we've let one of them hit us. We're in that wrestling match. One's hit us. Home's hit him now. And then the other one's got him. Hankar's got him. And then Sangaji. And then another one's got... He's weak now. He's wobbly. And the other one thinks... And they say, come on. He's down. Jump him now. And who's grabbed him now? And Kaam's grabbed him. Gursikh pyareo. Where he was going through... Ek kende Veshwa da bazaar si uthe. Kende it was this bazaar. This place, this village full of prostitutes who had in different houses, were standing outside their doors calling people in. And Sangat Ji, because he's weak, he's wobbly now, the home is taken over him, Hankar's taken over him. He looks at her, the moment he looks at her, because he's up there thinking he's so great, but he's not actually up there. पाँच आपस को जो भला कहावे तिसे भलाई निकट ना आवे प्यारियो. Pachi saying those that think they are good, they said goodness is nowhere near them. Because if they're thinking I am, then it's nowhere near you. He was thinking I am. He looked at that prostitute pyariyo. I feel so bad even talking about Bhai Joga like this, because it makes me think that I am the papi, asi khatte bahut kamavande ant na para var pachaji, main papiyan how papi tum bakshanhar. It's me pachaji, I'm the sinner, mainu baksh diyo pachaji. Aap ji de gursikh ta dhan ne, yo gursikhs a dhan, a blessed Bhai Joga ji. Bhai Joga ji, this is what the chor, the ability they have, the chor, that he looked at a prostitute. And you know why Kaam came into his mind? He's left his wife back. He thought, remember, it can be pure, or there could be lust, or there could be sexual desire. He thought about that relationship, what he may have been doing with his wife. And because he had that lust towards his wife, and there's that, what he may have had in his mind is now unfulfilled. Remember that desire? There we go, there's kamana as well now. That's unfulfilled. Frustration has kicked in, which is now given. And then Kaam's taken another roop. And Kaam, he's thinking that, you know what? He's gone, now he's thinking towards her. It was supposed to be his wife, but remember, if it was his own wife, it would have been okay. Because Pachi says, Nij nari ke saath neho tum nit badaiyo ho, par nari ke sej pool supne huna jai. But they said, not even in your dreams go to the bed of another. Look how they've played him. You know, he's left his wife, so he's thinking that I could have been with her, having this intimacy with her, but now that's unfulfilled, so he's seen her, so he's still got that lust. Remember, if we're lustful, that lust can be shot then anyway. So even with our wife, if we try and keep that relationship pure and keep that nam ras at the top and keep it where it's just that pure love, because even if that lust and desire gets out of control with our wife, own wife, it can then turn to somebody else as well one day, because it's inside of us and it can get shot anywhere, that energy can. He sees her. He's thinking, you know what? He's drunk now. He's drunk in Maya now. It's taken over him now. Sangat ji, that Maya is like an intoxication. He's gone towards her, but Sangat ji, he's got the Guru's Damala on. He's got the Guru's Gatra, Guru's Kirpan on. Oh, pyareo, there's a God that came forward and said, and had a spear in his hand, appeared out of nowhere and looked at him in his face. And Bhai Joga ji got scared, felt a little bit ashamed. But Pachi says, Dharam, Sharam Dharam, doe shap khaloe, kood fire pradhan pe lalo. Kende, but Sangat ji, when Sharam has gone, then our Dharam goes. His Dharam had gone, because at that moment his Sharam had gone. A little Sharam came in and he moved away. Sangat ji thought, I'll go later when that God's gone. He goes a few hours later, that God's still standing there. that God looks at him, pierced him with his eyes. Bhai Joga goes again and he says, Yar janda hi nahi. The third time Bhai Joga, but by that time Bhai Joga ji is going now. ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਉਹ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਭਿੰਨੀ ਰਹਿਣੜੀਏ ਚਮਕਣ ਤਾਰੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਾਗੇ ਸੰਤ ਜਨਾਬ ਮੇਰੇ ਰਾਮ ਪਿਆਰੇ now the stars are twinkling now it's ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵੇਲਾ ਸੱਚ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਪ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ it's time to read Japji Sahib it's time to say Vaheguru Vaheguru he tries once more and the God stamps his spear looks up by Joga in his face ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਸਿੱਖਾ ਕਿੱਧਰ ਨੂੰ ਚੱਲਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਿੱਖਾ which way are you going by Joga he gets on his horse feels ashamed ਜਾਗ ਆ ਗਈ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਪਿਆਰੇ who wakes up from inside ਅੰਦਰੋਂ he feels besharm he feels shameful he's riding his horse now towards Anandpur Sahib ਪਿਆਰਿਓ as he reaches Anandpur Sahib gets off his horse comes and falls at the feet of Guru Gobind Singh ji ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਪਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਸੀਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਚੱਕਦੇ ਪਏ ਪਰ Guru Gobind Singh ji Paatshah is not lifting their head up now Guru Gobind Singh ji Paatshah is not lifting their cease up and Paatshah ji and he's crying by Joga ji saying Kalgitar Sache Paatshah he's begging he's holding his hands he's not saying anything else but he's saying hey Guru Gobind Singh ji Paatshah ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ why aren't you looking at me today ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਲ ਵੇਖਦੇ and when Guru Gobind Singh ji ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਚੱਕੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉੱਪਰ Guru Gobind Singh ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦੀਆਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਲਾਲ ਨੇ Guru Gobind Singh ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ eyes are red ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿਣਗੇ Guru Gobind Singh ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦੱਸ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੋਗਿਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਆਪ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੁਖੋਂ ਆਪ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਰਸਨਾ ਨਾਲ ਬੋਲ ਕੇ ਦੱਸ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੋਗਿਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਆ ਤੇਰੇ ਵੱਲ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਤੂੰ ਆਪ ਦੱਸ ਤੂੰ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਆਇਆ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਸੀ ਰਾਤ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ Guru Gobind Singh ji said ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you tell me yourself ਜੋਗਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ where was you last night you tell me yourself why I'm lifting my head and looking at you ਹਾਂ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਰਵਟ ਦੇ ਮੋਕੋ ਕਾਹੇ ਕੋ ਮਾਰੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ why do you give your back to me ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਾਹੇ ਕੋ ਮਾਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ why are you killing me in this way by not looking at me Guru Gobind Singh ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੋਗਿਆ ਭਾਈ ਜੋਗਾ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਕਹਾਓ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ don't make me say ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ don't make me say ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਿੱਖਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਆਖਿਆ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਜੋਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਆਖਿਆ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਜੋਗਾ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਿੱਖਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਸ ਪਹਿਰੇਦਾਰ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਿੱਖਾ ਮੈਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਰੋਕ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ ਸੱਚ ਇਹ ਹੈ if those chor do even come and take over us if such a time comes ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਬਾਣਾ ਪਾਇਆ if we got the guru's bana on and if we have got that love for the guru even if that moment we fall we should do ardas every day say Guru Gobind Singh ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਆ ਕੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਪਹਿਰੇਦਾਰੀ ਕਰਿਓ you come and be a guard for me ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖੀ ਭੇਜ ਦਿਓ and ਪਿਆਰੀ you'll see that moment you're in the midst of mud like we sometimes don't realize but my Kalgidhar ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ sings a ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ to us ਖਾਲਸਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਰੂਪ ਹੈ ਖਾਸ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਮੈਂ ਹੂੰ ਕਰੋ ਨਿਵਾਸ my Guru Gobind Singh ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ resides in the ਖਾਲਸਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਿੱਗਦੇ ਹੋਈਏ when we're falling ਪਿਆਰਿਓ my Guru Gobind Singh ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ sends a Gursikh to us to save us to pick us back up a Guru Sikh hai Guru that the Sikh the Guru resides in their Gursikh you must have felt this many of times when you think that this is it now I'm gonna just that's it I'm gonna leave Sikhi this is happening and my Guru will send a Gursikh to you my Guru will send a Pangati to you my Guru will send Bani to you Bhai Joga ji said ਇਹ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਖਸ਼ ਦੋ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਖੱਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਕਮਾਮ ਦੇ ਅੰਤ ਨਾ ਪਾਰਾਵਾਰ ਹਰ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਖਸ਼ ਲਿਓ ਪਾਪੀ ਵੱਡ ਗੁਨੇਗਾਰ look at how the chor played him ਪਿਆਰਿਓ look at how from one to another from another to another so Gursikh ਪਿਆਰਿਓ let's continue next week and we'll look deeper into that Hongo sign ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਵਾਨੜਾ what it means to become that wrestler ਮੈਂ Gurmil uch dumalada, what it means to actually get a dumala, and how, and now actually looking at, will give more practical ideas of how to become more conscious and to be able to see these jo rubbers. Sangat ji, मैं एक गल सिक्खी बहुत कीमती एक गुरु दे प्यारे कोलों. एक गुरु दा प्यारा आखण लगा, कहंदे संगत एक गल जरूर करया करियो, कहंदे संगत विच कहंदे अपने गुण ना दस्या करो, कहंदे अपने संगत विच कहंदे औगण जरूर दस्या करो. कहंदे don't tell your qualities to the sangat, tell your demerits to the sangat. ਧੰਨ ਬਾਬਾ ਗੱਜਣ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖ ਬਾਈ ਗੱਜਣ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ. ਬਾਈ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਇਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਆਖਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸਨ. Even when Baba Nand Singh Ji's driver came to Nanaksar, Bhai Ji said to the driver in Purnamashi Day, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਤਾਰਨਾ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਔਗਣੀ ਭਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਸੁਣਾਈਓ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ where Baba Nand Singh Ji told you off and you actually made a mistake, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ tell that to the ਸੰਗਤ. ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਅੱਜ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੰਗਤ ਹਰ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਵਸੇ ਜੀ, ਉਦੋਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ resides in the ਸੰਗਤ. ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, I still fail constantly. It was only, I think, about a week ago where my own wife, she was telling my elder son off, and I just thought, oh, she's always getting angry, she's always telling them off, and I got involved. But what did I do? I was thinking she's always getting angry. I judged her, looked down at her, and in that moment, from remaining calm for a whole month and being completely shant, completely lost control and got angry. And I picked up a water bottle and threw it on the floor. But Sangji, this is how, look, first came pride. I looked down at her, judged her for being angry. And in that moment, from being a month not experiencing anger, it went out of control. I ask for your turi. I ask for your hand on my head and give me a sisa ke ਮੈਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਬਲ ਬਖਸ਼ੋ, ਇਸ ਪੰਜਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਲੜ ਸਕੀਏ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ, that we're able to put a fight up to these. People say, no, don't say we've got to fight them. My paatshah ji says fight them. Home Gusai ka pehlwanada, I've got to become a wrestler to put a fight up to these, and we're going to look into that deeper next week. So next week we've got to cover greed, lobe, and we've got to cover attachment. We'll look at those two in more detail, and we'll look at more ways of becoming conscious, and I'll share things that I try and do with myself, and like I said, I still fail, and I'm still looking to get to that place where I can have a Uchcha Dumalla to become the winning wrestler for my Guru. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.